Have you ever wondered, are people really who they seem to be? Behind polite smiles and casual chats, something often hides, carefully worn masks, unspoken motives. But here's the game changer. Once you know how to read the subtle signs, everything shifts. You'll see through the illusion and discover who they really are, beyond the performance. Today I'm going to show you 7 powerful ways to read people like a book. Not to judge, but to understand. Not to manipulate, but to connect deeply while protecting your own peace. So let's begin. 1. Tell me more. The hidden superpower to unlock people's true selves. Imagine for a moment that you could possess a superpower, not flying through the skies, not turning invisible, but something far more useful in everyday life. The power to make people reveal who they really are, without force or pressure. Believe it or not, such a superpower exists, and it is hidden in the simplest phrase you can imagine. Tell me more. I discovered this almost by accident. It wasn't during a serious conversation, but rather during a playful argument. Yes, about something as trivial as pineapple on pizza. At first, like many people, I was ready to push my opinion, ready to counter every point, ready to prove myself right. But instead, I paused. I stayed calm, and I simply said, "Tell me more." What happened next was almost magical. My friend's demeanor shifted instantly. The defensive wall came down. Suddenly, they weren't fighting for pizza anymore. They were sharing pieces of themselves, stories from childhood dinners, family traditions, even deep-seated reasons why pineapple on pizza triggered them emotionally. In that moment, it became crystal clear. It was never about pizza. It was about personal memories, emotions, and identity. This simple phrase, "Tell me more," unlocked something precious. The conversation stopped being a debate. It became an invitation, a doorway to deeper understanding. And once I realized how powerful this was, I began to use it everywhere. In intense business meetings when egos clashed, in delicate negotiations where silence often speaks louder than words, even in challenging discussions with friends, family, and strangers. Each time the results were astonishing. People opened up in ways they hadn't before. Arguments softened, walls crumbled, and most importantly, they began to reveal their true selves, not the mask they wear for the world. But let's make this clear. This is not about manipulation. It is not about tricking people into vulnerability. It's about connection. It's about offering someone the rare gift of being heard without judgment. In today's noisy and rushed world, where everyone competes to speak louder, few people genuinely listen. Tell me more is powerful because it gives others permission to stop defending and start sharing. This, in essence, reflects a profound Stoic wisdom. Empathy without attachment. You are not judging. You are not plotting. You are simply observing and understanding. And as you do, something amazing happens. You not only understand them better, you begin to understand yourself better too. Because the way people open up shows you patterns of human nature. It teaches you patience, and it reminds you of the value of silence and presence. So next time you are in a heated debate, a tense meeting, or even a casual chat, pause, smile gently, lean in just a little, and softly say, "Tell me more." You will be surprised at how deeply people will reveal themselves, and how this subtle superpower can transform not only conversations, but your entire view of human connection. 2. How they treat people in lesser positions. The silent test of true character. Some truths are not spoken aloud. Some are quietly revealed, in moments so subtle, so ordinary, that most people miss them entirely. If you really want to know someone's true nature, don't just pay attention to how they behave in front of you or toward people they seek approval from. Watch carefully how they treat those they believe are beneath them. Yes, this is the true silent test. I learned this lesson not in grand boardrooms or during intense debates, but in everyday moments, in restaurants, in elevators, and during countless quiet, forgettable interactions. I started to notice something curious. There were people who treated everyone, from the CEO to the janitor, with the same respect and kindness. A warm smile, a sincere thank you, a patient tone. And then there were others, those who acted polite and charming, which they had something to gain, but became cold, dismissive, or even cruel the moment no rewards or recognition were at stake. That shift spoke volumes. Over time, this simple pattern became my personal compass. Whenever I meet someone new, be it a friend, a business partner, or even a date, I quietly observe how they treat. The server bringing them water, the driver taking them home, the receptionist greeting them at the door. Because how they behave in those unguarded moments tells you far more than their carefully curated words. You see, kindness is easy when it benefits you, but genuine character shows up when there is nothing to gain. Some who are insecure feel the need to establish dominance. They belittle those who can't fight back. They use condescension as a way to elevate themselves. But this reveals more about their inner emptiness than it does about the person they're mistreating. By contrast, truly confident people, those who are secure and whole, don't need to step on others to feel tall. They understand a simple truth. Everyone deserves respect, not because of status, not because of wealth, but because of shared humanity. This is exactly what Stoicism teaches us. As Stoics, we are called not to be swayed by appearances or status games, but to remain grounded, fair, and consistent in all our dealings, no matter who we face. So when you really want to know who someone is, don't just listen to their words. Don't be blinded by their charm. Instead, watch them in the quiet moments. See how they act when no one is watching and nothing is at stake. That is where masks fall. That is when their real character steps forward. And if you pay attention, you'll find that this silent test is often the most honest answer of all. 3. Their past. The hidden blueprint shaping their present. If you truly want to understand someone deeply, don't just focus on who they are right now. Look back. Look into where they've been. Because while the present shows us what they do, the past quietly whispers why they do it. People often say, the past is behind us. Forget it. Move on. But here's the uncomfortable truth. The past is never really gone. It doesn't disappear. It lingers, shaping our thoughts, sculpting our reactions, and weaving itself into our relationships. Whether we realize it or not, every single day, people carry their history with them, sometimes proudly, sometimes secretly, but always inevitably. I learned this lesson in a very personal way. There was a friend of mine, on the surface, always calm and composed, rarely rattled. But beneath that cool demeanor was something restless, defensiveness, quick temper, an invisible wall in every relationship they had. At first, I thought it was just part of their personality. That's just who they were. But as time passed and layers fell away, the puzzle pieces began fitting together. They had been betrayed, deeply. They had faced rejection when they needed support the most. They grew up in an environment where proving their worth was a daily battle. Suddenly, everything made sense. Their defensiveness, not random. It was armor, forged by pain, a survival mechanism shaped by years of emotional battles. And they're not alone. Look closer at anyone, and you'll find similar stories hidden beneath the surface. Someone who craves constant validation? Perhaps they were neglected as children. A person who sabotages every meaningful relationship. Maybe deep down, they fear being abandoned or rejected. Someone always suspicious in business? They could be carrying scars from betrayals they've never healed. These patterns are not accidents. They are echoes of old wounds. They are footprints left behind by life's harshest lesson. But here's where the power of Stoic thinking comes in. This is not about making excuses for bad behavior. It's not about saying they can't help it. It's about understanding, because when you understand someone's past, you gain something precious: clarity. And clarity leads to wisdom. It helps you set boundaries wisely. It helps you avoid taking things personally. And sometimes, it gives you the compassion to offer others the space they need to grow. In fact, I've seen this transformation happen. In romantic relationships, the pattern is common. You meet someone who seems perfect, but soon troubling signs appear. Jealousy, fear of commitment, emotional distance. At first, you might blame yourself, but most of the time, it's not about you. It's about them and the ghosts they carry from their past. This doesn't mean you tolerate harmful behavior, but by understanding the root, you become less reactive. You make decisions from wisdom, not impulse. Here's the ultimate truth. People repeat patterns, often without knowing it, like being stuck in loops they can't break free from, until someone, maybe you, helps them see it. By gently reflecting what you observe back to them, you can become the mirror they've avoided for years. That mirror may be painful, but it's the first step toward healing and change. Stoicism teaches us to seek truth, not just outside, but within. When you observe others without judgment and truly understand the forces that shape them, you become not only wiser in dealing with people, you also become a kinder, more thoughtful version of yourself. Because the past is always present, and only when you see the whole story, not just the current chapter, can you really see someone for who they are. Suffering 4. When voices crack and the truth slips through. When people speak, they carefully choose their words. Words can be crafted, words can be rehearsed, words can be deceptive. But there is one thing far harder to control: their voice, especially when emotions rise or when truth and lies wrestle deep within. The voice becomes the battlefield, and that battlefield rarely stays silent. You see, when people lie or even when they feel the slightest discomfort, a silent war begins. Not in public, not with others, but inside themselves. Their mind rushes to control the narrative, crafting sentences, adding justifications, trying to stay smooth and convincing. But their body, and more specifically, their voice, doesn't always follow the script. Suddenly, there's a subtle shift. The pitch rises ever so slightly. A small crack slips through. Or perhaps there's an odd, uncomfortable pause. That moment right there is priceless because it's unplanned, it's unscripted, it's real. It's as if their carefully chosen words are wearing a mask, but their voice forgot to put it on. Think back to the last time you caught someone telling a half-truth. Replay that memory carefully. Did their words speed up as they tried to escape the awkwardness? Did their tone become forced and overly cheerful, as if desperately trying to sound confident? Or did they suddenly grow quiet, hoping silence might shield them? Each of these subtle shifts whispers something very important. Something here is not right. But remember, it's not always about catching someone lying. Tone changes reveal far more than deceit. They reveal hesitation. They reveal fear. They reveal doubt. In fact, I've seen this countless times in the simplest everyday moments. A friend, usually full of enthusiasm, suddenly turns flat and distant when discussing certain plans. They might still say, "Sure, sounds good," but their tone betrays them. Their energy withdraws. Their excitement disappears. That's not just politeness. That's resistance. And their voice told the real story before they even realized it themselves. This applies everywhere. In romantic conversations where partners avoid discussing uncomfortable truths. In business negotiations when people pretend to agree but hesitate deep down. In casual chats when fake laughs or exaggerated tones mask genuine disinterest. In each case, tone tells the truth when words choose not to. But here's where Stoicism gives us powerful guidance. People don't always lie maliciously. Many times they lie to themselves, not because they want to deceive you, but because the truth is too painful to face. Maybe they're clinging to hope. Maybe they're avoiding shame. Or maybe they're afraid of judgment. In these moments, their voice becomes a mirror, reflecting the internal conflict they're struggling to suppress. And if you think you've never done this, think again. I've caught myself doing it too, in moments of forced apologies, in awkward, strained laughter, in polite agreements I didn't really believe in. My tone didn't match my words, and deep down I knew. Because when words, emotions, and reality are misaligned, your voice always betrays you first. So how should you respond when you hear this in others? Don't rush to judge. Don't immediately confront. Instead, observe. Ask yourself, what's causing this discomfort? What are they hiding? Not necessarily from you, but from themselves. Are they lying or just afraid to be vulnerable? Often it's not about deception. It's about fear, doubt, and human imperfection. But once you learn to listen this deeply, you unlock a new dimension of understanding. You begin hearing the unsaid, the buried truths beneath the rehearsed words, the silent cries for clarity hidden in awkward tones. And here's the most powerful part. As you tune into others, you'll start tuning into yourself too. You'll notice when your own voice cracks, when you rush, when you hesitate. And through this awareness, you'll become more aligned, more honest within yourself. Because ultimately, reading people is not about catching them. It's about connecting. Seeing through the surface to understand the real human being behind the words. And that is a skill that makes you not only wise, but deeply compassionate. 5. When emotional reactions expose what truly matters. In the quiet moments of life, people often wear masks. They say, "I'm fine." They say, "It doesn't matter." They say, "No worries." But when emotions flare, that's when the truth finally speaks. Emotional reactions are not random. They are deeply rooted reflections of what truly matters to us. Like a mirror to the soul, they reveal hidden values, fears, and insecurities that words try to conceal. Let me share a personal story. Years ago, I worked alongside a colleague who always appeared composed and unshaken. Nothing seemed to bother him. Until one day, during a seemingly routine meeting, someone casually suggested a minor change to his project. It was insignificant on the surface, but in that instant, his composure shattered. He exploded with anger, far beyond what the situation seemed to warrant. At first, I was confused. Why so much fury over something so small? But then it became clear. This wasn't about the change. It was about what the project meant to him. He had poured his heart, time, and identity into it. The suggestion felt like an attack on his worth, not his work. This is where Stoic wisdom offers powerful insight. Strong emotional reactions are never about the surface issue. They are about something deeper, something tied to our identity. Think about it. The boss who snaps when you question a decision, it's not just about authority, it's about protecting their image of always being right. The friend who grows defensive over small feedback, it's about guarding insecurities they don't want exposed. The partner who lights up with joy when praised, that's because recognition touches something profoundly important inside them. Emotions always leave clues. The anger, the excitement, the defensiveness, the joy. Each points to hidden values. Each shows what a person cares about, even if they never say it aloud. This awareness is priceless. When you observe carefully, emotional reactions become your guide. You begin to see which priorities drive people: approval, control, respect, love, security. But this lesson is not just about understanding others. It's about understanding yourself too. When was the last time you felt an emotional surge? Were you angry because something was truly unjust? Or because your ego was bruised? Were you hurt because someone wronged you? Or because you felt rejected? Often, our strongest emotions reveal our own blind spots. They show us where our sense of self is still fragile and easily threatened. And so, Stoicism teaches not only to observe others, but to turn that observation inward. When you feel yourself reacting, stop. Ask, is this about my principles, or is this my pride speaking? Am I standing for what matters, or am I defending my ego? This simple pause, this mindful reflection, can change everything. You will start seeing patterns. You will become less reactive. You will free yourself from being a slave to every emotional impulse. Because the more you tune into emotions, your own and others, the more powerfully you navigate life. You don't need to argue. You don't need to fight. You simply observe and choose your response wisely. That is the Stoic way. Not to suppress emotions, but to understand them. Not to judge others for their reactions, but to recognize what those reactions reveal about their humanity, and ultimately about yours too. So next time emotions flare, in you or in someone else, remember, this is not noise. This is not weakness. This is truth speaking. If you listen carefully, it will tell you everything you need to know. 6. When body language speaks louder than words. Words are easy. Anyone can say, I'm fine, I'm excited, I'm all in. But the body never lies. In fact, the most revealing conversations you'll ever witness are the ones no words can truly mask. Because while the mind crafts stories, the body whispers the truth. Have you ever sensed it? You're talking with someone. Their words say yes, but their posture closes up. Their voice sounds cheerful, but their shoulders slump. Their mouth smiles, but their eyes look away. Something feels off. You can't quite explain it, but you know. That feeling is your intuition picking up what their body is desperately leaking. Hesitation, discomfort, doubt. Here's what many never realize. When people lie, when they hide, or even when they feel conflicted, their mind and body fall out of sync. The mind strains to maintain the mask, but the body forgets and betrays them. It shows up in subtle ways. A sudden fidget, an awkward shift of weight, eye contact breaking just a second too soon, arms folding defensively, feet tapping nervously under the table. And in conversations, it becomes even more obvious. Someone claims, I'm excited about this project, but their voice wavers, their gaze darts sideways. They nod along to your ideas, but their body shrinks inward, recoiling unconsciously. They smile and say, "Of course," but their shoulders tense like they're preparing for battle. At that moment, you must remember, it's not the words that matter, it's the energy beneath them. Stoicism teaches us to become silent observers, to watch without judgment, to listen without reacting. And body language offers a playground for this skill. When you observe calmly, you see the difference between eager words and reluctant movements. You sense when agreements are hollow. You notice when enthusiasm is forced. You begin to hear the conversation behind the conversation. This is not about confrontation. It's not about catching people in lies. It's about understanding. Sometimes the hesitancy you observe isn't deceit. It's fear, or self-doubt, or emotional fatigue. And just as you watch others, they are watching you too. Have you ever said yes while subtly shaking your head? Have you ever agreed while your arms crossed tightly in silent protest? Have you ever said, "It's no big deal," even as your entire posture screamed otherwise? Your body tells the truth even when your words pretend otherwise. This is where true strength lies, not just in reading others, but in reading yourself. When your words, emotions, and body align, you become grounded, clear, untouchable. You communicate authenticity without effort. And when you sense the same authenticity, or the lack of it, in others, you understand more than what's said. You understand what's felt. So next time you sit across from someone, don't just listen to the words, watch. Watch the way their hands move. Notice the shift in their tone. Feel the tension, the openness, the withdrawal. Because when the body speaks, it speaks in a language that never lies. If you master listening to it, you will navigate life with deeper clarity, richer relationships, and unshakable peace. That is the power of silent observation, and that is the Stoic advantage. 7. Innocent questions. The secret door to hidden desires. On the surface, questions often seem harmless. Are you busy this weekend? Did you enjoy working on that project? Have you ever thought about switching careers? Innocent? Maybe. But if you look closer, they are anything but. Behind almost every casual question lies a deeper desire, a hidden motive, a glimpse into someone's true curiosity, insecurities, or unspoken hopes. People rarely ask without reason. They ask because they wonder, they ask because they care, or they ask because they want something. And if you pay close attention, their questions become windows into their soul. Here's what I've learned. When someone repeatedly asks about your free time, what they're really asking is, do I matter enough for your time? When they keep circling back to stories about success, what they truly seek is validation, approval, proof that they are valuable and recognized. When they casually wonder if you've thought about doing something new, it often reflects their own desire, a silent wish to change, to explore, but held back by fear. Even when people ask about your relationships, they're sometimes revealing their own longing for connection, for love, or perhaps for reassurance. You see, questions are never just questions. They are expressions of inner narratives. Sometimes they reveal admiration, other times envy, and very often vulnerability. Stoicism teaches us to observe the subtle, to see beyond appearances, and this applies perfectly here. By listening not just to the question, but to the intention behind it, you become attuned to the emotional landscapes of others. You start to understand what they truly seek, what they fear losing, and where their heart quietly resides. But this insight doesn't end with others. It reflects back on you, too. Think about your own questions, the things you casually ask others, day after day. Are they driven by curiosity, by concern, or by your hidden desires? Your questions reveal you just as much as theirs reveal them. Self-awareness grows when you listen to both sides. So next time someone asks you something seemingly trivial, pause, ask yourself, what's really behind this question? What part of their story am I glimpsing right now? And how can I respond, not just with words, but with understanding? Because when you master the ability to read these small moments, you move from ordinary conversations to extraordinary connections. You hear what's unspoken, you see what's hidden, and you connect with people at a level they rarely experience. That right there is rare, and that is powerful. So now you know, people reveal themselves not just through their voices, emotions, and bodies, but even through their most innocent questions. Stay aware, stay gentle, stay wise. Because when you combine silent observation with deep understanding, you don't just read people, you connect with them and with yourself in the most profound way possible. And now I have a challenge for you. For the next 7 days, practice being the silent observer. Don't rush to judge or react. Just watch. Notice what's not being said. Pick up on tones, body language, and emotional triggers. Then come back here and share in the comments. What surprised you the most about what you noticed in others? And what did you discover about yourself? Your answers might inspire someone else on this journey to deeper awareness. If you found this valuable, don't forget to like and subscribe, because the next lesson's even more powerful. Until then, stay calm, stay observant, and as always, stay stoic.